All right, so more Three Arrows Capital news. Man, I did not expect this to turn into like what has almost become like a daily thing, but this whole event is sort of unraveling and changing every single day. And today, I believe it was today, we got today we got a Wall Street Journal article which has some comments in it from Sue and Davies. So we've got this is like the first time that they've talked since this whole news broke about Three Arrows Capital going under. So this is kind of a big deal, but it talks about a lot of what we already know. They're not really saying a whole lot of things with substance in this, but we'll read through that as well as some speculation that Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX might be bailing out Three Arrows Capital. I'm going to explain a little bit more about those rumors and how that whole situation is working. So, okay, going back to the Wall Street Journal article, which I'll put up here and link down in the description. The Wall Street Journal article, for the most part, just talks about Three Arrows Capital needing a bailout, how they're seeking investors to help bail them out. But the comments from Kyle Davies and Sue are in here. So Kyle Davies says, "We have always been believers in crypto. We still are. We are committed to working things out and finding an equitable solution for our constituents." Goes on more to talk about the fund. And then this is a comment from Davies again saying, "The Terra Luna situation caught us very much off guard." So it looks like they are blaming the Luna situation for what has put them under. Obviously, it's been a chain reaction of events for them, but that seems to be what was really the tipping point, which is reasonable. I mean, they had a lot of money tied up in Luna, and for that money to just evaporate, that very well could be the tipping point. That was a ton. So it says, "We were not the first to get hit. This has been all part of the same contagion that has affected many other firms," says Mr. Davies. "We are the biggest investors in the fund, and our intent is for everyone to do well in it," said Mr. Zhu. So he's talking about the Three Arrows Capital Fund. They're saying basically, look, we've got our money is the majority of the money that's in the fund, so obviously we want to do well, is what Sue is basically saying there. Our super cycle price thesis was regrettably wrong, but crypto will thrive and change the world every day. So basically this whole article, like I said, it talks a lot about what we already know, but those comments go to show that they do blame the Luna situation for the hot water that they're in right now, but that they haven't given up on crypto and they're just trying to find people to help bail them out. We got I don't want to say confirmation, but on chain, there's been a lot of FTT moved to the Three Arrows Capital wallet, and then some of it has been moved to KuCoin. So everyone's been kind of speculating because FTT is sort of the exchange token for FTX, for those of you who don't know. So people were curious if Sam Bankman-Fried is helping bail out Three Arrows Capital. Now, this isn't the way of them just giving them FTT to sell on the market and to, use or whatever, just keep the money. It's a loan. That's not basically, I mean, it is a loan, but what they're speculating the use case will be is for them to take this money, move it to an exchange with leverage, and use this as leverage this position, this FTT that they were given to trade with, keep the profits, and then return the initial position back to FTX, which is a scary thing, man. You're basically funding a gambling addiction at that point because they're going to have to take leverage on these FTT tokens, trade with it, and if they lose them all, well, then they still owe FTX. And I guess for them, it's kind of like they have nothing to lose almost. They're in a bad spot already, so this kind of gives them the ability to get back on track. But again, it's all through leverage. You're talking about taking a token, taking out a massive leverage position on it because you don't get to keep the initial deposit, right? That initial deposit needs paid back to FTX, and then you just got to hope that you've got some winning trades in that. And come on, man, could you imagine you're sitting there, you're underwater on your fund, you're in a really tough spot, someone hands you, millions in a token, so FTT, millions in FTT here, and they tell you got to pay back that full FTT balance, but you can margin trade on it and then just keep the profits and send us back, the balance plus interest. You know how stressed out your trades would be? You know how stressed you would be when you took a position? I can't fathom it. And then how stressed you would be when you start losing money. As soon as the trades go against them, I would feel like I myself would be sweating, and I'm sure that is going through their mind, like, we have to make this work. And that's what's so tough about their situation, is that even if they find investors to give them money, and let's pretend that this isn't true, and then FTX, they definitely have FTT, and they're definitely moving it to KuCoin. So there's a lot of speculation around that. But let's say that they didn't get a loan from them, and just any investor gave them a loan. They have to first help dig them out of their hole. Okay, so that's the hard part. First, you got to get them out of the hole they're in. Then you got to give them enough capital to continue operations and hope that they're successful enough to pay you back in the future. That's where this gets really messy. And so if they go under, I mean, you may as well just kiss the money you've got goodbye. Yeah, yes, they do have some assets. They have a lot of locked ETH and things like that, but they are taking heavy, heavy hits with everything that's going on, the liquidations, all of the above. So again, in order for them to find an investor, now there is some benefits here, right? Like if you buy Three Arrows Capital, or not buy, but if you help bail them out, then you can leverage them for access to really good seed rounds, right? Because they get access to lots of good seed rounds and good tokens. So you would get a piece of that pie. You also get a piece of the assets they have now. So, that's sort of the benefit to you in order to get, to want to invest in them and help dig them out. But at the same time, you got to look at the management history from them. It's like not good. They just wrecked a fund. So, by giving them more money, are you just fueling that even further? And, again, if they go under, then you lose all the money that you gave to them, basically, if they go insolvent. So the risk reward there is fairly decent if you think that crypto is going to turn around anytime soon. That's what I would say. Is the biggest thing here is crypto going to turn around in the near future? If it does, then those seed rounds might be worth quite a bit to you. But if you don't think crypto is going to turn around, those seed rounds aren't going to net you anything for a while, or even exist for a while. So again, this is sort of what people are weighing when they're talking about bailing out Three Arrows Capital. Icebags on Twitter posted a thread. He's kind of trolling, but at the same time, there is some information here. So he said why we chose to loan $400 million in FTT to Three Arrows Capital. So that's what they speculate. FTX provided Three Arrows Capital. Now when he posted this, he changed his name to SBF and put the Sam Bankman-Fried profile pic on. So he was just swindling people basically, and this was supposed to be a joke. But on chain, there is some information or some evidence so it says right here, we look at the Mining Stardust post. It said it looks like within the last few minutes, FTX is providing significant support to 3AC, about $352 million in FTT deposited in 3AC's accounts. Now, there's been a lot of speculation. Is this really 3AC's account? Was it really provided to them? So on and so forth. But also Larry Cermak, who is really, I would say, pretty smart as far as when it comes to on-chain analytics and things like that. I mean, he is on top of it, man. He's really good when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't know, I said kind of. He really is good at that kind of stuff. So he posted out, don't really understand why 3AC would send $90 million of FTT on KuCoin instead of FTX. Some weird things going on. So, and then he posts the Etherscan transaction hashes here. And you can see here about 4.1 million FTT token moved from Three Arrows Capital to KuCoin. So they're speculating on why this is going on, why this happened. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure why they would use KuCoin instead of FTX, or what the deal is here, but there is a lot of FTT moving around through Three Arrows Capital and from FTX that you can see right on chain. So aside from moving some FTT around, what is Three Arrows Capital doing at the moment to help fix their situation? Obviously, like I said, they're seeking investors to bail them out, but they're also moving every liquid asset that they have right now to sell. And I mean every liquid asset, McKenna on Twitter, who's a big crypto trader, said this is probably the most painful thing I've ever seen. An $18 billion AUM fund. So 3AC had $18 billion under management, by the way. I think I said 50 in one video, which is way overestimated. But now transferring 138 sushi to repay debt on exchanges they got liquidated on. F in the chat for our fallen brothers. And then he posted the screenshot, which you can see. I mean, they're moving like every penny they have. They're converting to cash to try to repay these margin positions. So moral of the story there, ladies and gentlemen, is to just not play with margin in a bad market. You probably just shouldn't play with margin, period, unless you're a very, very experienced trader, which these guys even thought that they were, but it is still hammering them right now. So we're following this. We're trying to find out more of what's going on here. Sisyphus also put out a bit of a thread. He said things that aren't conjecture about the 3AC situation. Genesis and BlockFi have publicly stated they're okay on Twitter. Three Arrows Capital is seeking some sort of bailout, per the Wall Street Journal article, the one that we just looked at. Three Arrows Capital did use illiquid assets as collateral, and someone will have to recourse to those SAFs, safes, vested tokens. One thing to keep in mind on language, BlockFi and Genesis both said liquidated or hedged. Better if they just said liquidated, in my opinion. Okay, so good news, Genesis and BlockFi stated they're okay from the whole 3AC situation, and Three Arrows Capital is seeking bailout. We know that, and they used illiquid assets as collateral. So that's their biggest issue, is they took illiquid assets, so assets that they can't just sell and pay back loans with, as the collateral for their loans. So when they start getting underwater, these margin calls start coming through. They don't have any assets that they can sell at the moment to meet the margin calls, which is what started this whole thing. So, you know, is Sam Bankman-Fried helping recover 3AC? Did he give them an FTT loan to leverage, again, to use in leverage trades and dig themselves out? This is sort of speculation at the moment. There is a lot of, you know, like I said, the on-chain stuff is indisputable. They're moving a lot of FTT around, and it appears that they had a lot of FTT deposited in their wallets. But we're going to continue to follow this story and see, you know, if FTX really is helping bail them out. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.